everyone, I'm Kate Watts, a registered dietitian with Cone Health. And today for Nutrition Bites, I want to talk with you about how to handle food cravings. Now, most of us get food cravings from time to time, but some of us feel like that just really controls our food decisions day in and day out. And so I want to let you know that, first of all, you're not alone. And second of all, I have a really simple process for you to try out that with practice and time will really help cut down on those food cravings and help you feel a lot more empowered to handle those situations. So before I get into the tips for that simple process, I want to just note that a craving or an urge does not last forever. Every craving, every food craving is going to build, and eventually fall back off and wane away. So the real challenge with food cravings is to help ourselves get through that period where that craving is building up and really tempting us and allowing it to fade on its own. And so for most people, this takes on average 20 to 30 minutes. So I want to give you some tools of how to get through those hard 20 to 30 minutes of that craving and how to let it pass and move on. So we want to use the 3 Ds. And so these are 3 different tools that you can use. The first one is to delay. So what I was just saying, we want to delay our food choice for about 20 to 30 minutes to allow that craving to pass. So how would we do this? You could grab a glass of water, set a timer for 20 minutes, and commit to postponing that food decision for 20 minutes. And at the end of that timer, you can decide, okay, I think my cravings actually passed, or yes, I want to go ahead and consume the item that I was craving. Now, the second tool is to distance. And so to do that, you want to physically get away from the food that you are craving or that is tempting you. And so you want to move out of the kitchen. You maybe even want to move outdoors to get some fresh air. You may need to move out of the break room where that tempting food is sitting. Whatever it is, you just want to get away from that item. And then the third tool is to distract. And so really you can do all 3 of these at the same time. And distraction is, what are you going to do during this 20 to 30 minutes to keep your mind off of that craving and to hopefully allow that urge to pass on its own. And so there's many different things you can do for distraction. Maybe it is going outside for a quick walk, or maybe it's doing some other kind of chore or task. Maybe that is outdoors as well, something like gardening or bringing the trash bin in or whatever it may be, just to fill that time with something productive. You could also do pretty much any kind of hobby that uses your hands. So, sitting down to watch TV is not enough of a distraction because we can eat at the same time. In fact, many of us do indulge in our cravings in front of a television or a tablet or a phone, right? So we need something that keeps our hands busy, whether that is writing a letter or a to-do list or a grocery list. Maybe it is adult coloring or a crossword puzzle. Maybe that is sewing or crocheting or knitting if you have some kind of hobby like that that uses your hands. So anything to keep yourself busy for that time frame is how we distract ourselves from that situation. Now at the end of the 20 to 30 minutes, again, you're going to decide, and some of these times you may not even really be alert that 20 minutes has passed. It's next thing you know, an hour has passed and you haven't thought about your craving because you got so involved into something else. And that's a good key that boredom is leading to your food cravings if you're able to get into an activity and completely forget about that food. Now, other times we may practice with these tools, and at the end of 20 to 30 minutes, we're still really wanting that food item. And so in that case, I would say go ahead and have the food item, but try to really eat it slowly and mindfully, really enjoying every bite. And so whether you choose to indulge in your craving, give in to your craving, or you're able to let that urge pass on its own, we want to take a little bit of reflection time afterwards because we don't want to tie these decisions to guilt any longer. That just keeps us in this cycle. Okay, so what we want to do is to determine what led to our food craving. Now, I'll give you some of the most common ones. First is just a visual temptation. So something like seeing food in the break room that someone brought in as a treat for everyone. or someone gifting you food for a holiday or a special occasion, right? And so in these cases, the distancing technique is probably the best, just to try to get away from that temptation or share that food with others so you don't have as much of it around. So that is one common, is just a visual cue. Maybe it's even something like a commercial for a food. So identifying what is triggering my food cravings is going to help you decide what you would do next time in that situation. Another really common trigger for food cravings is various emotions. So I already mentioned bored, but even tired, of course, sad or lonely or just feeling down, and of course, stress may lead to food cravings. And so if you find that there is definitely emotions that are triggering you towards comfort foods or other things like that, then probably some time and work needs to be put into addressing that root emotion that's causing these food cravings. And by addressing kind of the root of the problem, you'll see over time that those food cravings and urges are going to reduce as your levels of stress reduce, or as you have better ways to cope with stress other than with food. So as you kind of fill up your toolbox for coping with different emotions or situations, you'll turn towards food less and less often over time. Now, another common one is to simply be overly hungry. And so a lot of times if we're overly hungry and we're around a really yummy food, we might have a reasonable portion, but then we're going back for seconds and thirds because it tastes so good and we're so hungry, we haven't eaten all day. So also just managing your appetite throughout the day and making sure you're fueling yourself and giving yourself enough enjoyment from food earlier in the day when you need those calories and you're up and moving can help reduce the frequency of cravings later in the day, especially in the evening when we're sitting down and relaxing. So I hope that these tools are something you'll try out. It may feel a little weird at first. In fact, most times it goes something like this. You give into a food craving, and as you're throwing that ice cream container away, you go, oh, wait, I was supposed to do something. There were some kind of like tools that start with a D that I was gonna try. And that's good. That's a good first step, just being aware of when those food cravings are happening, when you're eating food, when you're not hungry, and it's just because of a temptation or an urge. And then you can start to really decide, okay, what am I going to do next time in this situation? What's my game plan? So good luck practicing with the 3 Ds and deciding how you're going to use those in future situations to overcome those food urges. I hope to see you next month for our next Nutrition Bites segment. Bye.